Hi, my name is Steffi Drucker, and this is my video editing statement for Project 6 in my multimedia reporting class. So first, before I talk about Project 6, I want to talk about Project 7 a little bit. For that project, we're supposed to come up with a website that'll have multiple multimedia stories on it that are about the same overarching theme or topic. And so I wanted to make sure that whatever I did for Project 6 was about the same topic that I'd be using for Project 7 so that I could easily integrate it into that website. So I came up with the topic of animals because that's something that I have always been interested in and passionate about, and I think that really helps. It makes the work more enjoyable and sometimes easier when you have background knowledge, but certainly more enjoyable when you actually care about what you're reporting on. So then I came up with a bunch of different story ideas, and kind of the first challenge was to decide, okay, which story is best for video? Which one had 3 sources, good B-roll, that sort of thing. And I settled on dog flu, which is a very timely topic, very newsworthy right now. There's been a lot of coverage on it because there's an outbreak in Chicago. There's over 1,000 dogs infected, and it's had a huge effect on animal shelters and pet businesses and that sort of thing. And then right in the middle of my reporting, there was one case that was treated in Urbana. Even though the dog belonged to somebody who lived in Urbana, it had been born in Chicago, so it wasn't necessarily like the outbreak was spreading here, but I think that kind of helped localize the story and make it even more timely. Even though, unfortunately, I didn't end up incorporating that. So, second challenge was once I went out and did all my interviews and then came back to edit them together, I had way more than 2.5 minutes worth of footage of story that I wanted to tell, information that I wanted to share. And so it was hard to kind of choose the important parts, and I think that can be really dangerous depending on what the topic is, because you don't want to leave out important information or take things out of context. Like if I had left in that, oh, there was a dog treated in Urbana for dog flu, but I didn't tell you that the dog was infected in Chicago, that's a totally different story. So I think that's an important lesson to keep in mind moving forward. Just something that I learned. But I did edit it down to fit within the 2.5 minutes. So I had some challenges while I was filming, too. I knew I wanted to get some shots of dogs running around playing in the park and talk to their owners, of course. I did not realize how large Urbana Dog Park was. It was very big, and those puppies were really fast and running all over the place, having a great time. So it was hard to keep up with them, and make sure that my shot was framed up nice, my tripod was stable, and all that sort of thing. But I think I got some nice usable footage. I especially tried to focus on a lot of action moving in and then out of the frame. And I did that at Vet Med too. If you see there's cars that drive in and out. So that was one thing that I remembered from class and was like, okay, I'm gonna try and incorporate that. Another challenge was that it was very windy that day. So when I was interviewing owners in the park, I needed to make sure that the mic was positioned appropriately. I think I did pretty well with that, although I have to say the one thing that I kind of cringe when I watch the video is the mic placement on the dog owner in the pink hoodie. She was in a hurry because she had to get to an appointment for her job right after. She was actually on her way out, and I was like, oh, please, can I interview you? So I told her to run it up under her hoodie, but I don't think she quite understood, and I didn't want to inconvenience her, so I just clipped it on her really fast. And I've learned that next time, if I'm in that sort of situation and hopefully they have a nice hood like she did again, I'll just kind of throw the wire over the back and cover it with the hoodie, and then I'll stick the recorder in her back pocket, or if the wire's long enough, I'll loop it around to her front pocket again. So even though it doesn't look great, at least the audio is very clear despite the wind. And with the other owners too, and even with my B-roll footage, I really spent a lot of time editing the audio levels this time to make sure that everything was adjusted accordingly. Another issue that I ran into while I was editing that I didn't realize was I wasn't confident. So I started my editing on a Tuesday, and then I actually ended up finishing the video on Thursday. But on that Tuesday, I wasn't confident that I had enough B-roll that made sense. Because here I had lots of footage of dogs running around in the park, but what am I supposed to show when the vet's saying, oh yes, this virus came from pigs in Asia. It just didn't really make sense to like sprinkle puppy footage all over the place. So I picked up some tips from Professor Johnson. For example, like in one shot, I kind of zoomed in on the vet med doctor, and then later zoomed out so you don't notice the edit as much. And then I got creative myself too, and I was like, oh, he's listing the symptoms at one point, and I've seen plenty of times on the news where they like make a list with each of the symptoms, so I did that for a shot just to kind of break it up so you weren't looking at the same person the whole time. So yeah, I'd say this project definitely had its fair share of challenges, but I think I overcame most of them pretty well, except for that darn mic placement. But, you know, it's one of those things that you do once and you kick yourself and then you never do it again. So yeah, looking forward to working on Project 7.